You found it. Your home for the best content on your favorite team, the Fighting Tigers of LSU. Do us a favor. Subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments below. Be sure to smash that like button. All right, Sean, LSU came close against Bama, and they fell just short. Ed Orgeron did say that both Max Johnson and Garrett Nussmeier are going to get a shot this week. We'll get to that in a second, but I do want to go back to Saturday. I don't know if you got to stare at every play of the LSU-Alabama game, but there were some moments in that game where it kind of felt like where Max Johnson missed some open receivers and some makeable throws. So I don't think anybody's putting the loss squarely on Max Johnson, but when you look back at the lost opportunity that LSU had on Saturday night, what stands out most to you?
Had a chance to close, and a team in the LSU team in the past probably would have. That they're just, when you're it was the 20, it's down the stretch. You got a chance, and I understand. And listen, as you know, I have no problem playing both. I don't want to play both over a long period of time. But in these last few weeks with a new coach and Coach Orgeron gone, I think both of them would like to post their score and see what they get into the clubhouse and heading into spring ball, which will be competitive again, and I'm sure there'll be somebody else in the mix. But when you're playing against teams like Alabama, whose defense, quite frankly, the eye test hasn't been as physical for me watching Alabama this year as it has been in the past. Maybe Georgia skewed everybody's ability to play defense because they're so good, but I thought they had chances, and to lose by a touchdown and complete about 50% of your balls against Alabama tells me that 3 or 4 completions, and it's never just on the quarterback, but that's the accountability and the responsibility you take in that position. You can hit 50% and miss some throws when you play against a team that you're a 28-point favorite on. And even nowadays, heck, we've seen teams shock other teams as well. But when you're playing against one of the 2 or 3 best teams in America, and they can explode on offense, and your defense has done a hell of a job in the football game, keeping you in it, and they played great football, and you have some chances, you just can't miss them. You got to make the tackle on defense, which they did. You got to block a guy, you got to hit an open receiver, and you're going to have a hard time. So if you start to say, okay, give me 4 more completions in certain situations, we may be looking at a major upset and a lot of momentum going into an Arkansas game that they can win, and working themselves towards a bowl game and trying to get right as they got Arkansas and they still got A&M at the end of the season. What a win it would have been. And you look back, it's never one throw, Matt, but it is 6 to 8 plays in a game. And I'm sure Max Johnson, with the genes he comes from and knowing, go back and look at it and say, I could have made that throw, which would have given us a chance to win, because the burden falls on the quarterback, whether we like it or not, and that's your job. And I think that's a good reason why. Leave the competition open. I'm not worried about quarterbacks' feelings. I'm worried about how they compete under pressure. And let's see what they got down the stretch. They've got a couple good teams they still got to beat. Let's throw it out there and see what they got. I have no problem playing both. I just don't want it to be a full season thing as you head into next year. Find your leader, and let's go. So, Sean, what's the best way to do that Saturday against Arkansas? If you got 2 guys, you're committed to playing them both, how do you do it? And on the commitment, is the commitment giving them both equal time, Matty? Is that it? Or play the hot hand? Ed Orgeron just said that they're going to split reps 50-50 in practice this week, and then they're going to go into the game, and Max is going to start, but Garrett's going to play, and they're just kind of going to see how it goes. But Ed's pretty committed to giving Nussmeier, though he said significant reps. Like, it wouldn't just be a play or 2. Okay, well, then if that's the case, then if you're going to do it that way, the question is, now, if I was going to do it that way, I would subscribe to letting a guy get in rhythm and play like a quarter, then you start the second quarter. I have a hard. What if you get into a rhythm and all of a sudden you go down and take a team 80 yards and you go 5 of 5 on the throws, and then you come back in and the next guy comes in and you go 3 and out. The next guy comes in. I mean, if you're going to do that, sometimes you play the hot hand. If you just want to set it in stone, say, hey, listen, it's like when you script the first 15 plays, right? This is what we're doing on the 7th play, the 8th play. This is what we're doing. Unless, of course, it's the short yardage jumbo package and we're down there, we may have to change a play. So I'm not big on the go 3 and out, next guy comes in. You go down and score, next guy comes in, because you don't give a guy enough chance to get in rhythm, and you give the other guy, if he's in rhythm, to get out of rhythm when he may be having one of those days, the hot hand. So there's 3 ways to do it. You either play opposite series and do that. You either play the hot hand and say, you're going to start and you're going to play until you go 3 and out. Put it on them. I mean, if you want to make it that kind of game, you go 3 and out, or the first time we punt, next guy comes in. If you're going to do it that way. Or there's the old, you got the quarter, I got a quarter, or you take the first half, I'll take the second half, which I think is probably not, it would be the least one that I would do. I would like a guy getting rhythm. I would probably go quarter by quarter, or 2 series or 3 series to allow a guy to play out of his rhythm, or stay in rhythm and play into it. Or if he's not playing well in the first series, to play himself out of the slump and see if he can get into it. And the truth is, while I want to play them both, if some guy in his first 3 series takes me down and we're up 21-0, and it's a close game, and they're scoring against us, I can't pull a guy out that's playing well. But there's probably not a set plan, but a plan to get both, because there will be 3 and outs in the game. I just don't like to punish a guy for 1 3 and out, and I don't like to take away the reward for a guy who's kicking ass. So you match it up, and if they're getting the equal amount of work, I would imagine Coach Orgeron's going to trade. If they have 75 or 80 snaps, hopefully you get that many. Then you try to get them both going and play the hot hand when it's hot. If you have a punt, if you want to play the contest with them, here we go. You punted, then the next guy's up. Make sure they both stay loose, and let's go. But you're there to win the game. I'm not there to appease feelings. I'm never in the feel-good business.
And look, LSU's got to get this one. If they want a bowl game, I think we all think they'll get ULM, and A&M is going to be a really tough one on November the 27th. So you really feel like you got to get this one at home against Arkansas. Hey, speaking of A&M,
question.
Speaking of A&M, you being there in Houston, I know there's a ton of Aggies where you are, and there's a lot of talk around here about Jimbo. I don't know how close, or if it's even just a guess or whatever, but do you subscribe to any belief that that's a remote possibility that LSU may be able to pluck him out of College Station?
I make the call. You make the call, Matt. Why wouldn't you? Well, the worst he can do is say no. So listen, everything's negotiable. Everything, buyouts, everything's negotiable. How bad do you want him? How bad do you want him? And it's like when a guy retires. A coach says, "No, I'm not leaving. This is the job. I'm not going anywhere." And he doesn't take it. Like all those years, Mark Few at Gonzaga in basketball, and with Boise State all those years, Chris Peterson, then finally walked away, and then Washington coaxed him back into it. When a guy tells me, like Phillip Rivers, well, I don't know if I'm retired. I mean, I'd be up to coming back. Then they haven't got closure. So if Jimbo Fisher, in his mind, he's going to say the right things now, as he should. He's got his own team to deal with. But if in his mind and his agent's mind, well, I'm sure agents are already talking. Okay, they don't just negotiate a contract in 10 minutes like people think. The second that job's done, you hire. They start to work this. I didn't talk to him. Yeah, but your people did, and that happens all over the place in baseball, basketball, football, any negotiation. But I would make the call. I would talk to his agent, say, what are the chances? If they say no, I'd call again. And I'd call a third time until I knew for a fact that he wouldn't. And then I'd make him an offer he can't refuse, and if he's willing to take it, that's what it'll take. But for me, if I'm Jimbo, and you know how I feel about LSU football, and I know his ties to there, he's got a great gig, Matty. And I know people say, well, you can win better at LSU. Maybe you can, but he looks like he's got Texas A&M headed in the right direction. So if they finish, last year they were just on the outside looking in the 4. He's an unbelievable recruiter. The facilities like LSU are off the charts. College Station, great college way to watch football, 100,000 plus, like LSU. It depends on where his heart is, man. The head is where the money is, brother. That's the way it's where the money is and where you think you can win a championship. And you can win a championship in both, and both are going to pay. So the next level is, where's your heart? Where do you believe that when you sit down in that office or in the off season or when you're recruiting, that's home for you? And I don't know that answer for Jimbo. We know his ties, but I've always said this. If I had a top 10 job in college football, Matty, and I was secure with a long-term deal like he's got and the people love him and he's turned a program around, you'd be hard like at Michigan or Ohio State or Southern Cal or Notre Dame or Clemson or Alabama or LSU. I'm not leaving. I'm not leaving. Now, if Dabo wants to go coach at Alabama, his alma mater, when Nick leaves, I get that. But I would call him. No, you're going to have to tell me no. If you want Jimbo, that you call and see what you can do. I think you're going to have a hard time prying him away because I think he feels pretty secure. And I'm going to just put the facts on you. And I know this sounds crazy. I believe there's more pressure at the LSU job. Look at this, national title 2 years later, he's gone. Yeah. I think there's a tad more pressure, which I know sounds ironic, but maybe it's because A&M's taken a backseat to Texas at times in the state, even though they're a better team right now. I think, and now Jimbo's creating pressure, but LSU job, they think they're a national championship team every year. A&M may think it, but deep down where people don't talk about, they hadn't felt this in quite some time. Manziel a little bit with Sumlin, but Jimbo, they believe they can win a national title. So the money, he'll get paid. The question is not where his head is, it's where his heart is, because the money is where the head is. The heart is where you think this is where you want to be and maybe make it your last college football stop. But I would make the call and do everything I could to pry him away. If you love him, you try to go get him, make him say no.
That's why it might be the best 30 minutes of our week. Sean Salisbury on Twitter at Sean Unfiltered. Sports Talk 790 mornings there in Houston. Give him a follow and be sure to join us every Tuesday here in the 5 o'clock hour when Sean jumps aboard. You're the best, man. We always appreciate you making time for us.
You're my man, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey, thanks so much for watching. Please leave your comments. I love to interact. And be sure to hit the red subscribe button below.